Radio Brockley, now officially the UK's #1 hospital radio station.
Hello and welcome to Brockley News, Radio Brockley's weekly show with news, interviews and information, including updates on all you need to know about what's happening in and around the hospital. I'm Alan Joyce, and coming up tonight we'll hear highlights from last night's Radio Brockley Golden Anniversary Party, which took place here in the grounds of the hospital. We'll hear from the Mayor of Harrow, the President of the Hospital Broadcasting Association, June Snowdon, and the hospital's Chief Executive, Rob Hurd. Then at 7:30, your chance to win some super Radio Brockley goodies without leaving your bed on Bedside Bingo, and we'll have more on that very shortly. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, all your choice of tunes on the Sunday Request Show with Keith Reeve. So stay tuned to London's longest running hospital radio station, now 50 years old, and the UK's official #1 hospital radio station for 2016. It is Radio Brockley. So last night saw the conclusion of Radio Brockley's 50th anniversary celebrations as members past and present joined together for an evening of celebrations and nostalgia. We were pleased to welcome the Mayor of Harrow, along with June Snowdon, the President of the Hospital Broadcasting Association, and the hospital's Chief Executive, Rob Hurd. Now later we'll hear from some of our members, past and present, but let's first hear from some of the speeches from last night, introduced by Keith Reeve.
Good evening and welcome to Radio Brockley's 50th anniversary reunion party. For those of you who've never met me, my name's Keith Reeve. I think most of you have done by now. We're going to do a few presentations and speeches from various people. So if I could please ask the Madam Mayor of Harrow to join me on the stage.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be here at Radio Brockley's 50th anniversary party and reunion. Thank you for inviting me. As Mayor, I'm proud that we have in the London Borough of Harrow Radio Brockley, London's longest running hospital radio service. You were named the Hospital Broadcasting Association Station of the Year 2016. And this is a much coveted national award and adds to the many other awards and nominations that you have won in recent years. Radio Brockley obviously has that X factor to remain on air and continue to serve the patients, visitors, and staff of the RNOH. After 50 years, from the early days in an old World War II air raid shelter with only a few hours of programs each week, to the launch in 2008 of your 24/7 service, you have continued to develop your service as well as your reputation. The station has a history of innovation. These include outside broadcast from the wards. You also started bedside bingo, which I think David does, if I'm not mistaken. In pre-mobile phone days, the Christmas and Easter phone outs allowed patients to call anyone they liked around the world, which is brilliant, at the station's expense, providing they did not mind the whole call being broadcast. In recent years, you developed innovative ways to use the hospital's internal Wi-Fi service to broadcast. I also understand that you now have a refurbished presenter studio, which will allow you to develop extend your service. The station would be nothing without you, the volunteers and your ability to serve your audience. From the initial idea of the 6 founder members in 1966 to the current team of volunteers, you have all done the RNOH and your community proud. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Right, if we could perhaps have Rob Hurd, who's the Chief Executive of the RNH, to the stage to say a few words. Good evening, Rob.
Good evening, Keith. Whenever I see Keith, the shudder goes down my spine, and the thought of all those interviews over the years at various events that we're attending. I remain immensely supportive and grateful for the work of Radio Brockley. So nearly half the lifetime of this hospital since those 6 young men talked to my predecessor about setting up on this site. A long and illustrious history of a hospital that is grown over the years and is modernising over the years, as indicated by at last some modern buildings starting to go up on our site. I think we need to recognise, and I want to sort of represent the staff and patients of the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital, the value that volunteering does to the work of the hospital. We have a growing volunteering community, and Radio Brockley volunteers are a valued part of that community here at the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital. Patients, I've been saying a few times tonight, many years ago there was 1 or 2 operating theatres and 400 beds on this site. There are now 10 operating theatres and only 200 beds. So patients do stay for less time in hospital these days, but we still have patients who are vulnerable in their beds that require a community spirit to the place, that require the ability to talk to a human being, a visitor, a friendly face, and the sense of community that Radio Brockley supports at the Stanmore site, and indeed in your support of the events that we do to get it out there amongst the hospital community is highly valued. I would welcome a future working with Radio Brockley and building on that sense of community, what you have set up here for the last 50 years, and to support the ethos of the support to patients and staff, that sense of community that a hospital radio station brings. And that you can't replace that. You can't replace that sense of community and support and the value that volunteering adds to the work of the hospital. So I was merely going to say thank you, well done for making it to 50, and good luck for the next 50 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rob. Could I just say a few very big thank yous on behalf of everybody here tonight and Radio Brockley generally to a couple of individuals who've brought this evening together. Emma, Joyce and Alan, her good husband. Who've actually done an awful lot of work over the years for Radio Brockley, and in particular this year, the 50th anniversary, all the special programmes that we did in September and first weekend in October, which of course 2nd of October was our actual anniversary. Alan coordinated that, and Emma in the meantime has been working very, very hard in the background to make sure you all got fed, watered. We had cake, balloons, and goodness knows what else this evening. So a big thank you to those two, because without them, fantastic, thank you very much. Right, whilst we are charging glasses and things, hopefully we're nearly there with something to drink, I would like to invite June Snowden, who's the President of the Hospital Broadcasting Association and a long-standing friend of Radio Brockley, to say a few words to you.
Well, good evening everybody, and certainly thank you very much indeed for inviting me to your very special 50th anniversary. I was also here a couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago was it? 2 weeks ago. Doesn't time fly? Just shows you what sort of a busy life I've got. It was wonderful to be here then and to help you celebrate. I do think it's important to celebrate and recognise all the work that you have done over the years. Madam Mayor, I think it was lovely of you. Your words are, I'm sure, much appreciated by everybody here, and thank you for that. And whereas Chief Executive Rob, he said, thank you so much. Rob, what I don't think you realise is just how important a message it is when you give up your Saturday evening to come here and say thank you to the volunteers. That is absolutely brilliant. Thank you. I feel I'm very privileged to be able to go out and visit hospital radio stations. And for example, this month already I've been not only here but also to Leeds on Thursday, and tomorrow I'm at Hillingdon, and next Saturday I'm in Birkenhead at Arrow Sound. So I meet an awful lot of lovely, lovely people. There are so many dedicated volunteers in hospital radio around the country. I'm also privileged to produce long service certificates to individuals. And this year, I produce them at 10, 15, 20 and 25 years, etc. in 5-year intervals. And I always keep a record of those which I print off and produce. And this year so far, those add up to over 3,400 years service. That is a strong message. It says, thank you to you all work hard for hospital radio, you deserve every acclaim you receive, and especially Brockley in this your special year, to have won the awards. Well done and congratulations. I also produce on behalf of the HBA Station Awards. And gentlemen, the founder members, would you like to come here, because I have got a 50-year certificate to present to the station from the HBA, congratulating you on your 50 years of being.
Well, it's great to have June Snowden back with us at Radio Brockley. We'll hear more from her very shortly, and also from one of the founder members as well. This is Radio Brockley, and don't forget, still to come, we've got Bedside Bingo. That's coming up in just over 15 minutes from now, and it'll be me filling in for David Ramp tonight, calling out the numbers and giving you the chance to win, so good luck if you're playing along. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, it's all your choice of tunes on the Sunday Request Show with Keith Reeve, here on London's longest-running hospital radio station, Radio Brockley. Well, now for more highlights from last night's 50th anniversary celebrations. Our reporter Natalie Martin caught up with a number of people who attended the party, starting with broadcaster and former member Gemma Inseniat.
I credit Radio Brockley with giving me a lot of confidence in terms of broadcasting, in terms of being on the mic, in terms of being generous with their time, in terms of talking to time, all the technicalities that I now use in my job, in my day-to-day life. And in the work that I do, and also in training kids now, which is what I love doing in broadcast media. Really, I credit all of it starting at Radio Brockley, so I can't say enough of it about as a charity, in terms of training for the people that do it, and in terms of being a fabulous form of outreach work that people don't know about until they're in hospital and they're approached by somebody for a request. I mean, it's a very much overlooked facility, I believe, in terms of the world that we live in and the job that it performs. And whilst tonight we've just heard about how quickly people are turned over, if you like, their beds are very quickly turned around and they don't spend as much time in hospital as they used to, but I still feel there's a lot to be said for being approached when you're in a vulnerable state by somebody who's just friendly and has no agenda and isn't part of the medical staff. I think it's a lovely thing to do. I think it's a lovely thing to be a part of, and it's really lovely to get that feedback from patients. And I know that's nothing to do with broadcast, but I do. I think that's a wonderful thing to witness and just have experience in. I honestly feel if I could just tell every school and every secondary school about the wonder that is volunteering at somewhere like Radio Brockley, I honestly think it's a fabulous thing. So that's what I would like to say. That's why I came to celebrate 50 years. I might not have been here 50 years or even a small fraction of that, but it holds a special place in my heart.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm with Sue from Radio Brockley. So Sue's been a member for how long?
Well, I joined in '84, so do the math. So that's 32 years ago.
Is that right? I think it is. Oh, fantastic. So you're still an active member then, yes?
I am. I'm not as active as I'd like to be because things keep getting in the way, but I do some stuff for the Radio Brockley News that I might come up and do a recorded interview for Alan or with Ron, and I try and get up on a Tuesday, but I'm not very good at getting here, and it is my goal to make sure I come up more regularly, really.
Why would you say Tuesday's more of an active day for you?
Well, I've always come on a Tuesday. I used to come up with Ron Laver, Steve Mitchell, Paul Williamson. We used to do a show on a Tuesday evening. I used to go up and collect requests, and that's what we used to do. But actually, now it's just the night. I'm used to keeping free on a Tuesday, but unfortunately, there's always other things going on. But I keep saying every time I come up on a Tuesday, I love it, and I think, why don't I do this more often? So that is really what I've got to do. So.
What would you say are probably your greatest memories from being within Radio Brockley?
Well, I mean, I met my husband through Keith Reeve because he worked with Ian, and we went on a birthday celebration with Keith, and I met my husband there. So he was Ian's best man, and he's been, his godfather to my children. So we kind of have a bit of a link through Radio Brockley.
It is definitely like a family, isn't it?
It really is. It's a great place to be, I must admit. So,
no, I'm really glad. I do feel very privileged to be working here. I do really feel part of the family. I mean, especially like on a Sunday, like as you said before, that it is definitely a family day. But I do just feel that we're all just a big family together. As cliche as that sounds, wouldn't you say?
It's a great thing to do on a Sunday, bedside bingo. And it used to be the thing that I used to think everyone else was busy, even if they had like boyfriends, partners, whatever. So I was on my own. I knew I could come up here on a Sunday and have some fun. So it's a good thing to do on a Sunday evening. Yeah. So
lovely. Well, thank you for speaking to me, Sue.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Natalie.
I'm with Graham.
How do you know that? Are you sure?
I could definitely read your name tag, Graham. So, what would you say some of your fondest memories are from being here?
Natalie, don't ask. So many good memories. Radio Brockley is my lifeline and my safety net and my social life and my sanity. Many good memories, many good people. I think we're a good bunch generally.
Oh yeah, 100%. I've only been here 4 weeks and I definitely feel like we're a great bunch.
And I still haven't scared you off.
No, you still haven't. I'm still standing, and I still continue to dazzle you when I come every week, and you're surprised that I still come. So
brave girl.
Yep, definitely. But no, would you say that there's anything in particular that from being here at Radio Brockley has inspired you or changed your life?
Those are strong phrases. It's been a very important part of my life. Like I imply, it keeps me sane, and it's always something to look forward to. I love being a part of the team. I love working in the wards. I love presenting. I love engineering. I love training. I love showing people the ropes, and they can't get rid of me, basically.
I'm with June, who's president of the HBA. Nice to see you, June.
It's lovely to be here. It's a very important occasion. 50 years is fantastic.
Yeah, so how do you, would you say like any kind words specifically about Radio Brockley, seeing it isn't our 50th anniversary?
Well, I've got some lovely friends in Radio Brockley. I probably come here at least once a year, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. They are fantastic. They're all absolutely lovely. They work hard. I know they do. Such are the rewards and awards that they receive for achieving that. But I believe in supporting all the hospital radio stations, and that's what the Hospital Broadcasting Association is about. And my role to support stations, to advise stations, to present them with long service certificates. So many opportunities, and it's lovely to be here.
100%, and like, can you believe that it started in a damp air raid shelter, and now like look where we are now?
I can indeed, because my experience in many stations is amazing. In my station is York, and we started in '64, and that was in we say a broom cupboard in an old military hospital. I think the guys got locked in or locked out on one occasion and had to climb through the window to get in. It was, people had to really work hard to even get hospital radio believed in by a lot of trusts, because back in those days they thought it was people playing at radio, and probably there were people who were trying to do that, and probably there were people who tried desperately to ensure that their career was modelled out of hospital radio. I don't mind that. If they've learned something from hospital radio, the main thing hopefully is that the patient is number one, and teamwork is absolutely vital. Certainly Radio Brockley is full of teamwork and full of lovely people.
Yeah, it's a lovely family. Like, we're definitely here for the patients. They are the most important people here. So,
it's unique in a way because not many hospitals now have such long-term patients who return on a regular basis. Clearly, because of the nature of the hospital, that happens. But I think perhaps the only other kind of hospital where you could credit with that is the cancer hospitals, the Royal Marsden and so on, and the Children's Hospital in Great Ormond Street, where you do get long-term patients from all over. And so you can approach it slightly differently. You recognise the patients, they recognise you, so they become friends as well.
Oh, definitely. We have very long-standing friendships and relationships with all the many patients here. So I definitely think that means something. That shows something about the nature of what Radio Brockley represents.
Yeah, definitely. And long may it continue.
What would you say hospital radio is actually about?
Firstly, it's the patient. The patient in my book is number one. And if they weren't there, we wouldn't need to be. I think that's absolutely vital. But also, it's important that everybody who's involved is as dedicated as most people are. And just to let you know, I present long service certificates around the country to members and member stations. And I keep a record. I produce them at 10, 15, 20 years, etc. And each year I keep a record of the certificates of which I produce. And only this last few days I've produced some more. And the total number of years that the certificates I have so far produced this year amount to is 3,500. That says an awful lot of people give an awful lot of time to hospital radio, and they should be celebrated and congratulated for that. I've presented a long service certificate in the Northwest a few years ago for 60 years for one young old gentleman, bless his heart. But I mean, it is amazing, and I think the struggle to get hospital radio stations going those years ago, technology wasn't what it is today, the understanding of hospital radio wasn't, and probably people didn't understand the need for radio and its benefits. And there are benefits, and there are doctors out there who will say that radio and music particularly is most important in aiding the recovery of patients.
Lovely. Well, lovely speaking to you, June. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
And I'm with Barry. Barry is one of the longest standing members and the founder of Radio Brockley.
I'm a founder of Radio Brockley. There were 6 of us, 4 of us who were trustees.
What is actually some of your fondest memories of being at Radio Brockley?
The fondest memories, making friends. Making the friends, continuing the friendships. We started it with 4 or 5 friends, making other friends, in my case also indirectly as a result of working as a volunteer in a hospital, meeting my wife who was a nurse in another hospital, but that was tied up. Making friends and being very proud of the fact that the activities of Radio Brockley in supporting the hospital, its staff and their patients continues to be recognised.
That's lovely to hear. Is there anything particularly that's happened over the 50 years that this has been through that are obviously those are definitely the highlights, but would you have any funny, fond memories of anything in particular?
Well, the one that sticks out in my mind, of course, is the bed push. We pushed a hospital bed. Hospital beds have wheels, although actually we cheated slightly and put it on a trolley. From this hospital in Stanmore to the then head office of this hospital, which was in Great Portland Street, rattling and collecting boxes all the way. A lot of my friends who are here tonight, males, dressed as nurses. We had a volunteer who was a patient in the bed. I think actually it was a member of staff. That sticks out in my mind. Doing the live broadcast to the Prince of Wales when he opened the visitors centre. That's 2 that come to mind.
No, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for speaking to me, Barry, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you very much, and good luck to Radio Brockley for the next 50 years.
And I'm with Gary and Carol, who have been members for how long?
Well, I certainly came up here in about 1975 or 76. I'm not sure how long I was here for, well into the 80s anyway.
And how long have you stayed here for then?
I was here doing programmes for about 20 years, I think.
What about you, Gary?
I was here for about 6 years.
6 years, wow. So, what do you think that your experience in Radio Brockley taught you?
It's meeting people, isn't it? I used to do a lot of going into the wards and talking to the patients. One of the things I used to do is exactly what you're doing. I used to carry a much heavier tape recorder, and I used to go up this slope, and I used to grab all of the visitors as they were on their way in to visit the patients and get them to record a little message. Then I would run, in those days, down to the studio, and I had to splice the tape so that I'd cut it into little segments with the messages on, and then within about 30 minutes we'd be playing those messages and the music that had been recorded for the patient who was up on the wards. So someone else would have gone in to say to the patient that we were going to play this special message for them from their visitor. And I did that for many years, but I can see that what you're holding now is much smaller and easier for your recordings than I had to do. And I had to splice the tapes as well. I've probably forgotten how to do it now, but I was pretty quick back then. And the other thing that I used to do, and it was mentioned earlier, is on Christmas Day, used to be here in the afternoon, and that's when we used to ring round the world for the patients who were in here over Christmas. And there wouldn't be all that many, but there would be some who they couldn't discharge, so they'd be here over Christmas. So if they had a phone number with them of relatives or friends around the world, I used to be on the phone doing the dialing down in the studio, and we'd ring to get through to their relatives and then put them on air to talk to the patient who was up on the ward, and they would have a conversation, but we'd all be listening to it. But back then, in the 1970s and the 1980s, it was not as easy to dial a number around the world. You used to have to go through, you had to go through several exchanges as well, telephone exchanges. So you'd maybe get to a telephone exchange in another country, and they would then divert you to a telephone exchange in a local area, and then that local area would put you through to an actual number that you were trying to get. We used to ring Australia in the middle of the night and woke people up, but they didn't seem to mind. We did that every Christmas for many, many years. Adrian True was excellent as the presenter. He used to keep talking and talking whilst I was dialing and getting people on the phone, which used to take quite a long time. And then we broadcast these conversations of the relative and the patient.
Oh, that's really fantastic. So what made you actually stick around for so long then? There must have been a specific reason as to why you stuck around for over 20 years.
The whole thing about a radio station is that you've got your team of people who are providing the programmes, and it's part of being a team, and it's good fun, and it was a good social scene, and there were lots of parties, and it was a good place to be, and you made lots of good friends.
The class of 76 were great. We were a great bunch.
And you'd also got then the patients, and you did get to know the patients because they would be here for months.
I can remember one guy was in here for 23 months in hospital.
Wow, 23 months.
Yeah.
Back then, particularly with orthopaedic surgery, bones mending, they would be here for a long time. And if you went up to visit them once, twice a week, you got to know the patients really well.
I mean, do you have any specific memories in particular that you think are, you really treasured or really important to you from your time in Radio Brockley?
I personally just enjoyed doing my show. I did a show called From the Vaults, which I played 1950s and 1960s music, and I know it went down well, and I just enjoyed the whole camaraderie of Radio Brockley. The funny thing is I also used to work in a pub down the road called The Vine, which unfortunately is no longer there, and they used to social evenings in there. I think they came down there for free drinks more than anything, because I used to look after them.
Weren't we all?
Yeah. But that's how I got onto Radio Brockley, via the pub, through talking people, you know. But no, I think purely it was the camaraderie of being up here and the fun we had, the bed push. I mean, we were on the bed push.
We did several bed push where we pushed the hospital bed.
Here to Great Portland Street.
Oh my God.
Down the Edgware Road. We caused a couple of accidents on the way.
The drivers were too busy looking at us, people all dressed up and pushing the bed, and they just bumped into each other.
Couldn't do it now.
Yeah, they were good fundraising events, but it was hard work. It was a long way, actually, pushing a hospital bed.
Oh, fantastic. Do you have any final words then to say for Radio Brockley's 50th?
Well, I hope the programmes continue. I used to do a programme for many, many years with Ron Laver. Ron Laver was my engineer. It was called Sounds Soft and Soothing, and we used to play very, very soft and...
Totally different music to me.
Sentimental music, but it was usually requests from patients on the wards.
I just hope Radio Brockley can advance, because personally I live now in Dover, which is a 2-hour drive, and it will be impossible for me to come up and do shows. So I'm hoping now, Keith has been talking about us doing either a live show from home or me pre-recording and putting it out, because I'd still like now, after doing my show a couple of weeks ago, to be involved. You know.
It's fantastic. Well, I'm really glad that you guys have clearly treasured your time here. It's really important. So,
and as Dave Rauch said, when I first arrived in the 70s, if there's only one patient out there listening to you, it's worth all your effort.
Yeah, 100% agree. Well, thank you for your time, guys. Thank you.
Well, big thanks to Natalie there, and to everyone who took part in last night's celebrations. And if you want to listen to that again, you can go to our YouTube site, youtube.com/Radio Brockley, and you can hear that and other previous editions of Brockley News and Brockley News Extra. Coming up next then tonight, it's Bedside Bingo, your chance to win some super goodies without leaving your bed, and I'll be calling out the numbers for you very shortly. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, it's all your choice of tunes on the Sunday Request Show with Keith Reeve. Brockley News returns at the same time next week, but stay tuned to Radio Brockley. Bingo's next.